What happened that lifted you out of depression? Getting out of a shit job was the biggest thing. The biggest trigger for my real lows was shitty, sexually harassing customers and a shitty boss who took his marital problems out on me. From there, I had time to write more and realized that writing really helped when I felt down. Best part? I've become a career writer. My latest novel came out last week. It's usually a joke on Reddit, but deleted Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all other social media. Took more walks, cut off toxic friends, moved to a new city. Is depression something people can recover from? With absolutely no scientific backing to this other than my own experience, I'm going to say yes, but that it's not something necessarily dependent on the depressed person trying hard enough, and there's a lot of lucky timing involved. I think I'm only lucky that changing my circumstances at the time that I did helped me out of depression. If I had done it later or earlier, I don't know that things would have turned out as well. Suffered from depression for years now. The only thing that lifts me out of it or restores some sort of self-worth is having a partner/someone to share my life with and look after. I know this isn't healthy. I'm just not the hump and dump kind of guy. I just work better in a unit, you know? This doesn't mean I go and start relationships with anyone. Eve's been single for 6 months now, and I can't wait to find someone that likes me for me and will get to enjoy me as a partner. Making someone else happy simply makes me happy. Started working on a better future instead of focusing on my failures in the past and present. Someone told me I was using my depression as a crutch and excuse for why I wasn't where I wanted to be. It was my get out of responsibility card. It was my reason I didn't have to change because I had a mental illness label and an RX that made it okay to be passive and self-hating. It was my justification for every decision I made to not do something to better myself. I can't. I'm manic depressive. That comment about it being my crutch was sobering. I picked myself up, dusted myself off, and made strides towards my dreams again. Found healthier community. Applied to college and started 4 months later. Paid my bills on time. Stopped comparing myself to whom I should have been and focused on who I wanted to become. Got more exercise. I basically surprised myself with my own awesomeness. One day at a time, but it took some tough love from a friend for me to realize I was hiding behind it and giving it too much power. I think what helped me a lot was being there when my little sister was born, 18 years gap. To hold that little baby in my arms and watch her grow, and she was pure and innocent in her laugh. The way she tells me she loves me, and that she misses me when I haven't seen her in a while. She helped me more than anyone, and she doesn't even know it. Yep, have a young nephew who I have a similar relationship with. It's probably because we share the same humor even though he's 2, which probably tells you how much I enjoy responsibility and the real world. My time with him is my escape from the real world in a way where I can act up and have fun with him without people judging me. I'm obviously aware in the back of my mind that I have a 2-year-old to be responsible for though, but it's easy to separate them things and still have fun when you get lots of respect and attention in return. I started talking. I had counseling and therapy. I started to accept the things I couldn't change, and the things that had happened weren't my fault. I started to love myself and enjoy my own company. I told myself, you're a good person and people are lucky to have you as a friend because it's true. I stopped relying on people. I started sticking up for myself. I know I'm so much better because I don't rely on having a partner. It doesn't justify my self-worth. Recently broke up with my boyfriend who I just moved in with, and 2 years ago, I'd have been distraught. I'd have died, or felt like dying. Now all I am is relieved and happy. I don't need to stay in a relationship which doesn't fulfill my needs out of fear of loneliness. I don't need to stay friends with shitty people because I worry no one will like me. I'm a fucking awesome person. It took a long time to get here, but Jesus, it's been worth it. I go to sleep happy and excited at the day I've got ahead. Instead of crying myself to sleep wishing I could just die in my sleep, I look forward to life. I had lingering depression since I was about 13 because I didn't like being a boy, but then after college, I got into a terrible destructive relationship that left me feeling hollow, and then I lost my father, and for the next year and a half, I was basically a shell of myself. I cut out people, I gained a ton of weight. In November 2013, at a friend's persistence, I accepted my own gender dysphoria and started to embrace the idea of transitioning. I started coming out to friends and rebuilding bridges. I lost all the weight I gained and then some. 2014 was the first year I ever felt truly happy with myself, my life, and my place in this world. I wouldn't say that I'm recovered yet, but I'm on the way. 1 year ago, I was at a job I hated, living with my parents and abusive brother. Now I'm in my first week at a salary job with benefits and awesome coworkers, and buying a car this weekend, and looking to move out of my toxic family environment in April. It starts as slow steps. I can't say what the first couple were for me, but the big one was starting an antidepressant that actually works for me. That was in June of last year. Alan Kruger said, "Once a small win has been accomplished, forces are set in motion that favor another small win." That has been exactly what has happened with me. I've focused on small steps, and finally, a few weeks ago, I got a big win with this job offer. Recovery. No control. Massively. I feel like my depression will always be there, looming like a shadow, but I know how to control it nowadays, without resorting to some of my more harmful techniques of old. It's like in a horror movie when there is a shadow like Spectre looming over the protagonist. When I was at the worst of my depression, that Spectre would have been all over me, but now I have ways to make it dissipate. TLDR. You will always have days where you feel close to your worst, but you can beat those days. 1. A regular sleep schedule, even on weekends, did more for me than therapy or antidepressants. This is hard. 2. A job I like with a positive environment. 3. Hobbies. For me, it's reading and RPGs. It took 3 months of commitment to expand my social circle and have fun with RPGs. 4. Knowing when to get help. It's hard to describe, but if I feel myself sliding into major depression, I do not hesitate to get back on antidepressants and therapy. None of these are easy, and they all take a few months to work. But if you're committed to overcoming sadness, it's worth it. Seriously, I can't advise this for most people, but I ate shrooms. 2 weeks later, I tried LSD. After LSD, I decided to stop smoking marijuana and really focus on my life. Almost immediately, it felt as though I was a new person. Worked for me, and I am now beginning my master's degree in accounting. Life is certainly strange. Lifting weights. The brain had no chance to interfere me with negative thoughts when all focus was on lifting. Later, I realized I had built something for me, and only me a stronger body. This boosted my confidence and self-esteem, which pulled me even further out of the dark. Now it's all positive and forward, baby. Let's all build our own success, lifting weights. Exercise and vitamins. Particularly vitamin B12 and vitamin D. For exercise, I like cycling. There are some social rides that I go on. There are similar groups for pretty much every form of exercise: running, yoga, soccer, etc. It's a good chance to have social interaction, which helps keep me out of depression. When you are severely depressed, you probably won't interact with others much, if at all. But you have to force yourself to go through the motions at first. Yes, you can recover from depression, but it's unlikely that you will be cured of it. There's a common misconception among people who do not suffer from depression that something must have recently happened to you make you depressed, and something else must happen to you that will solve it. Depression is not a rational response cycle. It is a chronic mental illness. The resolutions to depression are chemical and internal. I have also tried therapy and antidepressants and found them to be of limited use to me. I've gone from being depressed to bipolar. For me, what changed was 2 things. I learned that I should stop caring about what the world thinks of me. I am myself, and I can do far worse to others than what they will do to me. The second thing was admitting I was depressed and trying to seek help from friends. I lost some doing this, but the ones who stayed and helped me are precious to me. They helped me get through it. In all honesty, I would have killed myself by now without them. Even internet friends help. I was younger when I was seriously depressed. I got really bad around 12 or 13. My dad and stepmother were the primary cause of it. They were verbally abusive, and I had no way of getting help. They knew I was struggling, and even when I started self-harming, they wouldn't let me talk to anyone about it, because they thought it would make them look like bad parents. I only recently fully got over it. I'm 20 now. It took a long time for me to stop hating myself, but what helped me the most were my friends and my boyfriend. They were always there for me to get me out of my house and reassure me that I'm not worthless. Wellbutrin. I did a lot of work on my own too, but medication is what got me to the point where I could do that. Edit. I have more time now, and I just wanted to reiterate how grateful I am for medication. It absolutely gave me my life back. I went from being completely hopeless and too depressed to leave my hospital bed to actually being interested in life. After I got out of the hospital, I kept thinking, wow, I feel like a real person. I did a partial hospitalization program after I got out, and once the depression had let up a bit, then I finally started being able to make sense of what I was learning in therapy. With a lot of hard work there on my end, I can honestly say I am not at all depressed anymore, and am back to being a functional human being. I was severely, chronically depressed and suicidal. My previous doctor had told my family he expected me to kill myself within a year or so. This feels like a miracle, and I am incredibly appreciative of every moment now. Medication and talk therapy, specifically for me, cognitive behavioral therapy, gave me the tools to take my life back and start to claw back into the real world. Most days I still wake up thinking it is useless to get out of bed. I'm a sack of crap, and just laying here doing nothing is the best choice. But 10 minutes later, I am pouring a cup of coffee and starting my daily reflections. The morning routine is my most powerful tool in living the life I desire. It didn't hurt to change careers from something I thought others wanted me to do to pursuing the job I wanted to do. So take the meds, do the therapy, and work out a routine of self-reflection and self-improvement, including physical activity. I don't think I will ever not have some thoughts that are intrusive and full of crap and not have to fight the apathy that my depression brings. But I can have a life that is worthwhile and satisfying even if it is not always yummy and fun. A long time and a lot of hard fucking work. A combination of therapy, AA, finding the right antidepressant, and working on myself, i.e., taking steps to actually become the person I wanted to be. Finally admitting that I'm better on medication was a big step for me. I resisted meds for years. Depression, much like alcoholism, is not something that ever really gets cured. You don't exactly recover. You just learn how to manage it. You learn to recognize when you're spiraling and do something about it. These days, my baseline emotional state is way higher than it used to be. I'm in a healthy relationship for maybe the first time in my life, and it helps to have someone who is supportive and will listen when I need to talk and be understanding. Social support, therapy, and a lot of introspection help me get to a better place. The truth is, depression never goes away. You don't recover from depression, you go into remission. It might never come back, but anyone who has been depressed, and not because of a loss or trauma, has the chance to get depressed again. Most of us have it come back at some point, even if it is not as bad or as prevalent. I have the benefit of being both a therapist and a person who suffers from depression, if you can call that a benefit, so I've had a chance to see this from a few angles. Social support is the most important thing you can have. Medication initially, but more than that, I had an excellent therapist. I was also in treatment for an eating disorder at the time, so we worked on managing those behaviors, identifying potentially triggering situations, etc. That helped a lot in the first few weeks and months. The work we did later was kind of skills-based with lots of mindfulness and acceptance practice and developing better communication skills that ended up helping a lot of my relationships in my life. However, these things still took time and were frustrating. There were times when I wanted to terminate with her because I didn't feel better as quickly as I thought I should. Understanding that this type of progress takes weeks and months and having patience was critical to my recovery. I've experienced a lot of depression, especially during my teens and early 20s. I've been far better in the last 6 months by realizing that my depression comes from anxiety and dealing with stress badly. So I've focused on those causes, which has helped with the symptom of depression. Medication helps, anti-anxiety rather than antidepressants, no SSRIs. Exercise helps, being creative helps, but most of all, and I kind of can't believe it myself, meditation. Meditation has literally changed my life. I'm happier, more focused, more creative. And it is only getting better the more I do it. This was my path. Searching for help dash, talking to a psychologist dash, taking antidepressants for 2 years dash, getting more motivation to search for new things / hobbies dash, started watching One Piece for the first time dash, watched the whole series, still do dash, gain a lot of inspiration and courage from the story dash, gain new friends and hobbies dash, more motivation to continue living dash. Realizing that you're not depressed anymore. Would you say the antidepressants helped? I just started on some, and I am curious how it worked out for you. I know it's different for everyone. Spent more time with old friends, made new great friends, and running. I started running when I broke up with a long-term girlfriend, and it turned from literally zero running experience to running a marathon in a year. It pulled me out of depression, gave me my new favorite hobby, and has kept me in fantastic shape. I have been through therapy and SSRI drugs, none of which helped. What did? 2 things. I became a skydiver in 1998. Massive doses of endorphins, along with making close friends and accomplishing things that flat out were not easy and not everyone could do, all gave me a sense of my own worth. The second thing was the unexpected death of my narcissistic mother, who would go to great lengths to downplay any accomplishment she did not approve of, which was basically everything, as anything I accomplished got me out from under her thumb. She's been dead for 3 years, and it's been the best 3 years of my life. Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed. Love.